look back, look up.
Shawn, I'm really excited about doing this, and it's wonderful to meet you. You're in New York, I believe.
Nice to meet you too. Nice to meet you. I'm happy to be here chatting with you.
No, I'm really excited because I saw your film last night. And I have so much to ask you. I saw it. And I was really excited that I was one of the first early people in India to see it. And like, it was a privilege.
So 2050, is it really bad?
Shawn, firstly, congratulations for all the great work that you've done. We in India are huge fans of The Night at the Museum and A Free Guy and everything that you've directed and participated in, including the absolutely amazing series Stranger Things, which I want to tell you is hugely popular in India. Everyone loves it and everyone has binged it, watched it and celebrated it for many, many years. So congratulations for everything that you've done.
I feel like I should start by apologizing because I know the Indian fans of Stranger Things are passionate and a very big group. So I both apologize for the delay and I assure all of those great fans in India that it's coming soon. And I swear to you, it will be worth it.
Stop the car.
What?
Stop! Go, reverse!
So I want to tell you, I was just at a meeting with a bunch of young filmmakers and actors. You know, we were working on a project together. It's actually a massive project called Brahmastra, and the entire cast, it's got some leading actors of Indian cinema. And I told them I was going to have this fireside chat with you. And that's what they all asked me. They were like, when is the next season coming up? Can you ask him? Because that's of prime importance to us. So I'm glad that you already addressed that because there's so many millions of fans in India waiting.
Well, thankfully, I'm not going to spoil anything because we did announce a few weeks ago, maybe only 1 week ago, that Volume 1 is coming at the end of May. And the Duffers also have revealed the truth that I've been kind of keeping to myself, which is this new season is truly supersized. It's not only epic as far as storytelling, but just the sheer running time of this season is so much more than prior seasons. So it's coming soon, just a few more months. We're almost there, guys.
Right. Okay, no, if it's worth the wait, then why not? Like, let everybody wait. Let them sweat it out. It's fine. I absolutely loved The Adam Project. I want to tell you that I don't know if you watched any Bollywood movies because we're all about family and love, and a lot of them have actually based their films on high-powered emotion. And I found myself like crying in the last scene of The Adam Project between the father and son. And that's what I took back with me, with the emotions. And I think that's the essence of spectacle movies and the big movies, the big screen entertainers, you know, that if you walk out of there with an emotion, other than the fact that you're wowed with the spectacle and the VFX and the scale and sizing of the film, but also you walk out with an inherent emotion. Like my father meant the world to me. He's no more now, but like I remember that everything I've ever watched in cinema that's moved me has always been father-son related. And at the core level, that's what The Adam Project is also about. It's about family. It's about the father and son. And I was absolutely swept by the emotional energy of the film. Did you always design that to be that?
This is very gratifying. So thank you for kind of sharing that. It's very generous of you. That was the point. Someone asked me, well, what do you want your movies to make people feel? And my answer was, I want to make them feel. That is why I go to work. I don't make movies just to entertain myself or to convey ideas and concepts. I go to make a connection, and a connection that is inherently emotional. This is what gets me up in the morning. It's why I love filmmaking. I'm sure you agree. And I'm well aware that the cinema of India is unabashedly devoted to audience delight, audience joy, audience warmth. And those are the kinds of movies I love from any culture. And I feel like increasingly so many movies are either dark or somber or alienating, or they're pure spectacle, but not emotional. And I really love to believe that cinema can be both. And I wanted to make an emotional spectacle with The Adam Project.
I'm the godfather of time travel?
The Adam Project.
The fact that it has a tremendous high concept, there are two things that I took back from it. The fact that it actually had a hugely high concept of, I don't know if I should give any spoilers here, but the concept of like the Adams meeting, I think in itself was massively thought about. Like, I think it was just, while it might sound very simplistic, but it was to pull that off and to pull off the plausibility issues within the narrative, make it convincing to the cinegoers, like within the narrative, and emotionally sweep you and show you the spectacle. It was a lot to chew and a lot for you to kind of like dive right into as a filmmaker. But you did that with so much abandon and unapologetically. Like, that is what I loved about it, that it's a very it's front-footed, the film, in terms of every like you said, every inch of emotion that you want to project is there right in front of you. It's like you're not apologizing, you're unabashed about it. And that's what I loved, is the syntax that you caught, because a lot of times, like, you watching, even when you walk into like the Marvel universe or the superhero universe, there is now a dark edge that runs right through those narratives. I felt like your film was sunshine. Like, I felt I was watching like a film that was just like sunshine, and that was my biggest
that is
takeaway.
A lot of what Ryan Reynolds and I met on Free Guy. And as soon as we met, we had this shared feeling that, oh wait, we're both at a stage of our careers and our lives where we want to actually tell stories that connect in a joyous manner and in a sunshine manner. Free Guy had that in its DNA. Obviously, Free Guy was much more of a comedy. Adam Project is more of an adventure drama. But the same goal, which is audience pleasure, audience delight. And look, it's a cynical world. It's a cynical world where I live. It's a cynical world where you live. But if we can tell stories that are like knives through that culture of cynicism and circumstances and a world that is so often, obviously, deeply disappointing. But if we can be like a knife that cuts through that with optimism, with emotionality, then I feel that this job has a purpose, and an important purpose. And the more movies I've made, the more clear I am about that purpose.
You brought together, I mean, the purpose is amazing, because that's the purpose that I think we all make movies for, at least us in India. Our main objective is always to entertain and sweep an audience with the emotional energy of the film, the songs, the dances. It's all part of the syntax of our cinema. You also brought together the most formidable cast. There's, of course, Ryan Reynolds and Jennifer Garner and Mark Ruffalo, and that's just fantastic. So many lead actors of prominence. Was it an easy, how do I put it? Was it an easy sell to all these actors to kind of come on board for this film?
It was an abnormally easy sell. And I think
really?
that I don't, some of it is, thankfully, I think everyone kind of trusts that Ryan and I know how to do our jobs, and we're going to make something good. But this movie's idea of what if you could go back and reconnect with your own history, with your mother, with your father, with yourself, and what new level of understanding and forgiveness and empathy would you gain if you could do that? That's a universal yearning. And every actor, Mark, Zoe Saldana, Jen Garner, everyone that I called had some very quick connection with that fundamental premise and how emotionally rich it is. So I'm thrilled with this cast. It was ambitious, the level of actors that we went after, but everyone said yes very quickly. And I feel very fortunate about that.
Can I tell you, my favorite scene in the film is the scene at the bar.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say that before you said it, man.
I was like, oh my God, like, this is such a beautifully crafted scene as a director, but also so beautifully written and performed. And it was just like so simple in terms of its, in terms of your camera. It was like, the camera was just like an insider. It was just like doing its job. Like, there was no fuss, there was no treatment. It was just on close-ups and over the shoulder cutting. And it was just magical. Like, and I love the moment where she felt something and she went running onto the street and he wasn't there. And I was like,
you're giving me goosebumps, because it's a personal favorite of mine too.
Really? Because I can imagine why. Because it's so immensely directorial. Because it's like, I felt like, I don't know, I wasn't on that set that moment. And I sometimes, when I see moments like this, I always wish I was, just to see the process of how the filmmaker instructed the actor. But I felt like, what is the instruction you must have given Jennifer Garner to kind of get that expression, because she was magical in that close-up, where she looked back and she was like amazing.
I know. Well, I have so many little answers to give you. The scene in the bar, I knew, first of all, I need to say, that was a very good scene, but then Ryan rewrote the scene himself. And he rewrote the scene himself as a love letter to his mother, who was the one constant in his childhood with a very unpredictable and imperfect father. So it started with a Ryan Reynolds rewrite of the scene. When we showed up, we started rehearsing, and you know, sometimes you're rehearsing a scene first thing in the morning, and you just feel like, oh, it's happening. It's happening. And you know, in those moments, for one thing, stop rehearsing, rehearsing, start filming. And number two, get out of the way. Get out of the way. And so literally I was like, I'm gonna say a bare minimum. I'm gonna roll the cameras. I'm gonna let the cameras move slowly in on each actor as the intimacy of the scene develops. I wanted to get visually more intimate with the actors. And I truly feel like that was a day where I didn't want the director's hand to be obvious. I wanted it to be trusting. And the only note I gave, we did a few takes of Jennifer Garner's close-up. They were all amazing, but she was so emotional. And I said, the only note I said, I was like, hold it back. Because what I found is when an actor is really crying a lot, it's beautiful, but it's not as poignant as someone who's trying not to cry. And that was the one note I gave Jennifer, and that's what you see in the movie.
Oh my God, she was that close-up where, you know, there's always, I feel like with actors, when you give them the big performance set pieces, which is a lot of dialogue, a lot of drama, a lot of screaming and shouting, I feel those are the easy crutches that actors have. They have dialogue, they have drama, they have a lot of volatility to show, anger, fury, whatever. But it's in silences. It's in silences where a real actor shines. And I feel like, what was Jennifer Garner's moment in the Adam Project? And it was that close-up, according to me. My takeaway was that
close-up. It was, I mean, you know what I love, and they would never say this about themselves, but I love that scene, particularly because Jennifer Garner and Ryan Reynolds have been very famous superstars for a long time. And sometimes when someone is so famous for so long, you forget the actor because you are so conscious of the celebrity. And that was a day where I said to Jennifer and Ryan, today, you two were actors.
No, I mean, bona fide actors and bona fide talent. And I love that there were two zones in the film. I realized that because you have also so much to say and so much to kind of express. It's when the young Adam gets the realization that, oh, I'm meeting my older self, and where he kind of puts all the dots together. But I love that you call it out. Like, I love that you make Ryan Reynolds say that, oh, you figure that out quite fast. Because I love that you called out what could have been a loophole. Like, I love that, and you did that at 2 or 3 instances in the film. Where even right immediately when you show Mark Ruffalo stare at him, and he just looks at him and he just says his name, and it's like, it's amazing because you're buying into it. You're completely buying into it because you're so swept by the emotion that's what I said, that you directed this film with a front foot. Like, there is no apology. It's a lot of abandon, and a lot of it is the syntax of what Indian cinema actually has always represented. And I think that syntax is what is going to make your film hugely mainstream and cut across boundaries and countries, because emotions are universal. You know, I agree. We have so much, we see so much of spectacle and the VFX and scale, but eventually I cried in your film. And I think that was I had such a good cry, like in that scene, the last scene. I don't want to tell anyone about it because that was my second favorite moment of the film, is between Ryan Reynolds and Mark Ruffalo. And I was like, I just suddenly realized I had these tears just dropping from my face. And I was at home very late at night, and it was a long working day, and I wanted to see the film. I was all excited and sad, and I wasn't planning to cry. And I was like, this is not something that I thought would happen to me in this film, because I wasn't expecting it at all. And I had a good cry right after the film, because you end the film emotionally as well. It's just like you're just carrying that emotion right at the end. And it's about all of us want to go back, like, as I told you, like, when I lost a parent, and you want to go back in time and change things. And you think about stuff like that in your head. So is time travel a phenomena that has excited you, like way back from cinema goes, like Back to the Future itself? Or is it just a concept that's fascinated you?
Well, I mean, I have always found time travel a fascinating concept. I think that's fundamentally human, because it's the one constant of our existence as human beings that we are utterly powerless about.
Yes.
So I think it's inherently interesting, but I have never been a sci-fi wonk for purely genre purposes. I like genre that is emotional genre. So, people think of Stranger Things as genre, but it's deeply warm-hearted and emotional. Adam Project, I wanted to make a very emotional piece of science fiction. I wanted to make a sci-fi movie that does not look, feel, or sound or compute like sci-fi. I wanted to make a sci-fi premise as an adventure drama. And so all the choices I made with the wardrobe, with the camera, with the aesthetics, with the pacing, with the music, every decision was made with the priority of connecting in an emotional way, a humanist way, even though the genre is conceptual. That was the whole goal. And look, Adam Project is my 13th movie, which is kind of astounding to me. But you talk about front-footed, early on, I remember when I made the Night at the Museum movies, and I was like, no, I want to be like a drama director. And I remember Chris Columbus, who was my producer on that, said to me, why are you running from the thing that is the most natural to you? You dismiss it because it comes easy to you, but it's not common. It's rare. And I remember that. I was in my mid-30s at that point. And then several years later, Spielberg on Real Steel said to me, you direct like you're sitting in the audience. And I always remembered those words, because since then, and that was now 10 years ago, I've thought, okay, you know what? This thing that comes naturally to me, emotional storytelling, I'm gonna play off my front foot, and I'm not gonna kind of apologize for it or try to put on different clothing because, that's what the cool kids are doing. I can only tell my stories in the way that I want to tell them and the way I'd want to experience them as an audience member. And that's kind of how I do my job now. And it took me a few movies to get here, but I'm very much enjoying this stage of my creative life as a result.
Would you think it's also because you've reached a stage where you feel liberated, of so many things? There's an expectation, there's a pressure, there's box office deliverance, there's a certain, critical acclaim you seek. I mean, I know because I'm at that stage. I'm going to be 50 in a few months, and I've been working for nearly 27, 28 years. And now I feel like, I can't say, I don't want to sound presumptuous and say I don't care anymore, but there is a sense of freedom because you feel like you've done so much. You'll take one hit, it's still not going to drop you. You'll still be back. Yeah, totally. So do you feel that sense of liberation as a filmmaker?
Yes. I mean, the short answer is yes. Early on, I had a lot of commercial success, and, that led to nice lifestyle, outcomes and all that. And then, with Arrival and with Stranger Things and with Free Guy, there's kind of been a new chapter of critical and awards attention that feels, very nice. And so now in my early 50s, I do feel like, all those things that I was so chasing, they happened. Yeah. So now what? The answer I'm finding is now I'm only going to direct things I can't resist. Right. And so it's going to result in an eclectic output, because Free Guy is very different from Adam Project. And the next project is a literary period piece set in World War II Europe. And who knows what I'm going to make beyond that. Ryan and I have a lot of movies in mind. So I'm letting my instinct lead me because I'm chasing less outcome.
You also mentioned Spielberg, and I couldn't help but feel like, there's always, I'm not saying it's an inspiration, but I could definitely think that you may have been a fan as a kid, or maybe a little older than that, because I know that I grew up on Spielberg myself and all his films, and I felt like he used to combine technology and emotion in the most beautiful manner, in a way that he made human dramas out
That's
of
well put.
all his,
That's really, I'm going to be stealing that a lot. I'm just warning you, because I've got like 5 days of publicity now.
Yeah, of course. Sure,
and everyone's like, well, there's a Spielbergian feeling to your work. And I never really know what to say, but that's very interesting because he's always using technology to create wonder.
Yes.
But it's always in the service of something human. And I think that you just articulated that in a very concise way. So thank you, because I will be stealing it.
That's fine. I'm giving you complete liberty to do so. But I just felt there was a lot that I was throwing, because, like we have formidable filmmakers in India where I'm heavily inspired by. And I felt like there is a zone where I felt like this is like watching vintage Spielberg, but with today's technology and the same emotional impact. And that is something that I haven't seen any other filmmaker do in a really long time. I've seen a lot of the spectacle movies and I've seen the big event movies. I haven't felt this honest, earnest, old world emotion. This sense of like, there's a sense of this family that you've seen, which I know that the traditional American families or the traditional Canadian families and Indian families, Italian families, we are very high on emotional energies within our zones. I haven't seen that. It's like a little bit of an old Hollywood feeling that I got in the film, and I got it from the warmth of the house. I got it from the warmth of the characters. I got it in your costuming. I got it in the production design. I got it in everything. Like, I felt like I was
thank you. Because you mentioned wardrobe, for instance. One of the tiny things I'm so pleased with is I watched the movie too, and I'm like, those costumes could have been in the 70s. They could have been in the 90s. They could have been in 2021. And only when I was finished with the movie do I realize the extent to which I made every choice based on a certain timelessness, but also it is a kind of Amblin throwback Hollywood sensibility where it wants to be filled with spectacle. But like you, I watch so many VFX heavy spectacle movies that have cool visuals, but zero feeling. And I'm just not that interested in that.
No, and I like, because one is interacting with, people of all generations, and, there are things that are cool and they're just visually spectacular. But like, if they're not giving me a feeling, I don't feel like I've got my money's worth. Like, I think there's, I think the real money shot lies in an emotional scene. Because it's not about like how much VFX and how amazing the visual is, but if I'm not feeling anything, then how am I buying into your narrative? Why am I really there? Like you said, you're a filmmaker to make people feel, and there were about 7 or 8 times in the Adam project where I felt, I was with the characters, and I think a large part of that was also, can we have a word about how the writing process was? Because this must have been so sometimes you watch a film that could be very driven by technology, but could confuse the hell out of you. And you could be like, okay, everyone's sounding very clever, but I haven't understood a word. That happens to me in many Christopher Nolan films, where I've seen like twice and twice. And I'm like, I'm dying to crack this plot. Like, I really want to sound clever in a room, but I just never land up ever understanding him. And I love everything he's done, but I haven't understood anything.
That's so funny. I feel completely similarly. I did a rewatch of Interstellar, and literally the second and third time I was like, okay, this time I really want to understand it. Still don't. And
I really want to be one of those intellectually driven audience members that has cracked Nolan. I haven't cracked him. I watch every film of his, and I will go on the opening weekend, whenever it's out, wherever it's out, I will go, and I have not understood any film, and I'm one of those proud members of the audience that hasn't understood a single Nolan film, and I just walk out saying like it was something about it was stunning, but I don't know how to explain the plot to you. But that was not my issue where it came to your film, because I felt like your writing process must have been interesting because you also simplified it to an extent that was very easily accessible, and yet there was enough technology talked about that makes it sound clever as well. Was that a conscious endeavor?
Very, and it's a shared value of Ryan's and my together. Same thing on Free Guy. We got scripts where it was really cool, but every time if Ryan and I ever said, "Wait, what does that mean? Wait, what's happening?" You know what we did? We rewrote it and we changed it to words that we understood. And if we didn't understand, I would go to the writer and I'd go, "Tell me in dumb, basic words what is happening." And the writer would tell me, and I'd say, "Okay, I'm going to use those words, because why do I want a movie to feel like homework? I want a movie to feel like a ride, not homework." And so it was a very conscious rewriting of the time travel rules to give enough information and complexity to make it interesting. But I never want an audience processing a movie up here when they should first and foremost be experiencing a movie here.
Yes. Because it's like at any point of time, you might get out of the film if you start thinking about it, and then you get out of the emotion, or rather the moment that the filmmaker and the actors are expressing on celluloid, and you'll be just out of it because you'll be trying to crack the code. You don't want to do that. You're watching a film because you want to feel, you want to be entertained, you know. And I was
other thing
I understood the optics of it.
Good. Well, and we also occasionally used a little bit of self-referential awareness. You know, when the kid starts talking about multiverses and and Ryan's like, "It's not a multiverse." Oh my God, we watched too many movies. So I also wanted the movie to kind of.
I was going to get there about the self-referential nature of the film, because there is a lot, like it's a lot of awareness of the same kind of cinema that's been beautifully integrated in dialogue through the kid. The kid, I mean, he's amazing. Like he's really amazing. He's. I mean, I always get amazed when kids do well, because like I have children of my own. They're only 5. They're twins, and I don't think they can do very much. Even if they were 10, I don't think they'd really be able to handle anything he was doing. How was your experience working with him? Because I worked with a lot of kids in my career, and it's always been an
But I mean, I'm sure you know, if you've directed kids. I mean, look, the Cheaper by the Dozen, Night at the Museum, Real Steel,
so many kids,
Stranger Things. I feel like between the two of us, we maybe have directed 400 children.
I have a child in every film of mine, and I mean, barring the one I'm making right now, everything else, I've directed many children. Yes, many.
So you know that, you generally might get lucky and get certain moments on set, but you're doing a lot of work in editorial to craft a great performance. I'm not going to name any kids, but some of the kids in my movies who seem super talented, they're not. We just edited them really well.
Really well.
Walker Scobell in The Adam Project, even live on set, no editing. He's just special. He just has an authenticity that is rare. He had never been in a TV show, a commercial, nothing. So I got him pure. I got just a pure, great kid who also was a crazy Deadpool fan. So I got this talented, authentic kid who also is a Ryan Reynolds expert before he ever met Ryan Reynolds. So you really believe that they're two versions of the same person, because Walker knows how to channel Ryan's rhythms.
That's fantastic, because I mean, he had to have so many moments with Ryan that, that kind of, I think that inherent affection just probably came from him like naturally.
Correct.
Ryan Reynolds, to me, I've never met him. I've just seen his work and I'm a big fan. He comes across like a gentleman actor. Like there's something so gentlemanly about him. Like, there's like
James Stewart.
Yeah, like he's like, exactly. Like he's just like, you look like, you almost think that he's just the right kind of man at the right moment at every given point of time. Like he will always do the right thing. Is he really that man? Is he really that actor? Or is my perception of him just going by just his projection in his roles?
You are 100% right. It's crazy. The two actors who I've worked with there's many actors who are very disappointed in real life. Let me start with that. But the two who are exactly what you think and hope is Hugh Jackman and Ryan. Ryan feels, that's why there's like a Frank Capra ethos to Free Guy and Adam Project, because I feel like Ryan has that James Stewart handsome affability and moral rightness, ethical groundedness. And it's true. It's real. I watch him as a father. I watch him interact with fans. I watch him interact with employees. He is always a gentleman and kind and respectful, which is a great way to live, but truly amazing.
Gentleman, kind, respectful. Just gentleman, kind, respectful, and he's also an actor. That is a combination that is very
and
rare.
A celebrity, right? Like that's the thing. The world is not always safe to a celebrity. So the fact that he still lives with an open, gentlemanly civility is quite remarkable.
Well, then I'm so happy to hear that, because like you said, we have worked with actors that can be sometimes, the experience can be disappointing because you've envisaged. Like sometimes I always feel like, I get scared to work with legends because you've imagined them to be a certain kind of way, and then they walk onto your set and you're like, maybe not.
God, yes. I want to, if we weren't on television and being broadcast to lots of strangers.
We can't mention names, but like.
I'd love to mention names because there's a few who come instantly to mind.
Yeah, but like what you do, like that's part of the, I always feel like when someone's asked me like, what is your job like? And I said, it's 90% of my job is to handle people. 10% is the work I do on a set and on the film.
Correct.
But 90% is I'm dealing with human beings, which is what we never get credit for as a community of directors and filmmakers. We rarely get the credit that we deserve because the real work we're doing is PR. We're doing public relation work all the time. Like you have to handle your technicians, your actors, sometimes your producer, just like the combination of people and thoughts and egos and just, everyone, that sometimes I feel we get very little credit, for that kind of work. That is not, that we don't get paid for, but that is something that is part of the job.
That's the job. That's the job. And it's not just handling people and leading people, but it's finding that every person has a different language. Every actor needs to be directed in a different way. The way that I direct Zoe Saldana is very different than the way I direct Walker Scobell or Catherine Keener or Mark Ruffalo. Every person has a different language. And I find one of the great fascinations of this life and this job is, what is your language? Now I'm gonna find your language, because to do our job great, we need to access each person to bring out the best version of that person.
I also feel, in my experience, that actors are the most vulnerable and insecure people on your set. And they may not show it, they may not express it, but they're always vulnerable. They're always insecure. They need that affirmation. They need that confidence that you have to give them as a filmmaker. And so when you scream instructions on a mic, sometimes it can really throw an actor off. That's the first thing I tell anyone who works with me. I'm like, please don't scream instructions on a mic. Just go to them, tell them very quietly what you have to say, because once you scream it loud, it's like it's information for the whole set, and that gets them even more wound up. And you may not realize it, but you're playing with their head, because that's what it is. It's also psychology. It's how you draw a performance out.
Totally.
You said all the same things. So I feel like all filmmakers resonate on some level, with each other.
Although it is, not all filmmakers love the actor part of the process most. Some directors love the technical most. They love the visual most. They love editorial the most. For me, I love my actors. I love them. They are my favorite part of the job. I've been in pre-production on my next project, and I've kind of been working hard, and I'm living away from my family, and I've been a little bit lonely and a little bit blue. And then I did a reading with my actors, and I was suddenly, I was reminded, this is my fuel. This is my fuel. My actors are my inspiration, are my creative fuel. And so for Adam Project, where the content was so emotional, and so the process of making it was emotional. It's why it was one of my favorite movies to make, and now to release. I said, when I watched the movie last time, I turned to Ryan and I said, this is my most me movie. This is the movie I've been meant to make. And I really feel that way about it.
Well, I've seen a lot of your films, and I can definitely say this one is really special, and it's I think it's going to move the world. And I'm so glad that you've chosen this massive platform, Netflix, which has this huge global reach. A little bit about Netflix and your association. It's been quite a close association that you've had with this streaming giant. How's your experience been with them?
Yeah, it's amusing to me because I have some people, including some relatives, like my uncle was like, you must have been a genius to envision that Netflix would take over the world. And I'm like, I am not. I wish I were an investment genius. No, it started with Stranger Things, and nobody wanted Stranger Things. And the Duffers and I walked into Netflix and we said, here's the show. We're going to direct all of it ourselves. And what do you say? And they took a big swing. They placed a big bet. And since then, I found them to be very, very empowering to the creative process and to creative storytellers. So with Adam Project, I had their support. Certainly they would give me input and notes. But for this kind of movie where, again, I don't make movies for a niche. I make movies for the maximum audience possible. I make movies that want audience engagement. That is why I go to work every day. So Netflix has such a ubiquitous global scale of audience engagement that it makes it the perfect platform for a movie like this.
No, absolutely. And I think it's no longer like, when people say that, we are filmmakers, we grew up on a theatrical release, and a theatrical release has its own energy, and there's one way of looking at that. Of course, that's special and beautiful because it's a community viewing, and you can almost experience that when you sit with an audience. But this is special in so many different ways because this film will be accessible to over 222 countries with millions, gazillion people watching your film all at the same time. Different cultures, different countries. That is just special. Like, it's really something else.
You know what else has been really special? I mean, many people have started to watch the movie, people like yourself who were sent the movie early, and the reaction has been incredibly encouraging. But the best part is the people who have written Ryan or I these notes about how they watched it sitting on the couch with their son.
Yes. And
how they'd never seen their son cry at a movie ever. And that this movie was a connective moment. Or someone wrote me yesterday that they came away from the movie and called their mom and realized that they treat their mom like crap too much of the time and don't voice the gratitude. So the fact that this movie is connecting to viewers in ways that are personal and are emotional and makes them consider their own life, their own connections and relationships in their family, that's a dream of an outcome. And it's very gratifying.
Well, I think that you're going to spend an entire week and then many months post the release hearing a lot of great compliments and a lot of heartfelt stories about people's experiences while watching it, because it is an immensely connective experience. Watching the Adam Project was an immensely immersive, it was a very connective and a very satisfying cinema experience more than anything else. And I wish you so much love and luck, because I know that everyone in India is going to absolutely love the film. And in my own way, I've already started doing my own little publicity for the film, because I was so happy to kind of be one of the initial audiences for the film. And India loves everything you do. And I wish that you can watch a lot of our work. A lot of our work is on Netflix as well.
I know, and I think more and more every month, more and more every year. So I think the opportunity to gain fluency, reciprocal fluency in our culture's work is a tremendous privilege, and one that will keep growing and truly globalize cinema in a new way than ever before. And I look forward to that. But I can sincerely tell you, this was such a joyous chat. And again, when you watch me stealing your words in future interviews, remember I asked permission.
No, no, no. It will be such a pleasure to watch that.
Thank you.
I will be
Thank
like,
you.
I will be very flattered. But
Thank
I just
you.
want to say that this was an amazing conversation, and I'm always very skeptical talking to filmmakers because you never know, like where that conversation can go. But this was just freewheeling and easy and wonderful, and I see why you make the movies that you do because it comes from you. It just comes
Thank
from
you.
you and your personality and your aura. So congratulations, and I
Thank
hope
you so
everyone
much.
loves your film the way I did. Thank you so
I
much.
really appreciate it. Nice chatting with you.
Thank you. It was great chatting with you, and see you soon.
Thanks.
Did you get to be so smart?
How'd you get to be so dumb?
Nice try.